All right. Hey, y'all.
Hey. What's good?
Okay. All right. We are here on another episode of Between the Moment. I'm super excited to have some special people on this episode. Say hey, everybody.
Hey. Yes.
National Siblings Day is right around the corner. If you don't know that's a thing, that's okay. It is a thing. Get into it. And I have some siblings on the call. I have my very own brother, Deacon Pastor Reverend. No, I'm just playing.
Oh, Jesus. No. In the name of Jesus. No.
Dun, dun, dun. I got Solomon on this episode, and just really glad to have him here. Who else do we have on this episode? That lovely lady sitting next to you. Who is that?
Who am I?
That is my lovely wife, my forever soulmate,
Yes.
Mikala Lewis, mother of my 3 children.
Oh.
We in there. Only 3 children. Exactly.
Hilarious.
Hi, guys. Hello.
And Michaela, who is your sibling on this call?
My sibling is Lakarin. She's on this call with us. Say hi. She's my older sister. One of my older sisters.
The mama bear.
Mama bear. I didn't know this, but in 1995, I think her name is Claudia. She actually had 2 siblings, and she was a professional that lived in New York, and she lost both of her brother and her sister. And so she created National Siblings Day to honor them. And I was like, yo, I didn't even know that was a thing. And, now it's taken off with social media. Back then, it was like, you had to really literally print out your picture and hold on to it in your own book. But now it's just taken off into a thing to really highlight that relationship. Now, one thing I thought about just even when we were getting this episode together is that it's not just like we're siblings, it's now we're grown.
Yes.
Like we have our own lives. We don't all live in the same state. We do different things, whether it's in different seasons of our life. Like it's just life has just lifed. Like it's just continued to keep going. And so this episode is just like, okay, what does it really mean to appreciate, yes, our siblings, but we're grown. Like we have our own lives. So we're going to kind of reflect. You guys can enjoy all of the foolery. And of course, there's gems mixed in. But kind of looking back on life and going, man, like you are my brother, you are my sister. And we walk through life and all the things that were going on, but now we grown. So what is that? What's kind of like, what is it like looking back and then thinking about life forward? So this is dangerous. And I just want to prepare everyone that this will be dangerous. And we're fully prepared for all of the danger in my Erykah Badu voice. We're fully prepared. So I'm going to give it to the most dangerous person on this episode. I'm going to give it to Solomon. Solomon, this is my first question.
In the most brotherly voice ever. I'm not dangerous at all.
Right. All of the memes of every brother.
Exactly. Right before destruction ensues.
All right. What was life like for us growing up?
So life, I think for us growing up was a whirlwind of different class, like seasons, different demographics, different locations, different dynamics, different financial situations. It was just a smorgasbord of like, if whatever we could get in life, we've had it and lost it.
Yeah. Legit.
Pretty much. I think to kind of put it in a more linear fashion, I think my life was a mixture of complete like contentment, but then also in the same form or fashion, it was filled with a lot of tragedy, I guess you can say. But also in the same way, it was just a lot of joy. So it was like a mixture, I guess.
Yeah.
Dad, growing up, we moved around a lot, obviously, because Dad, he did a lot of real estate. So We, one season of our life we were living in Dallas, and then the next season of our life we're in Mesquite, and then the next season of our life we're in North Dallas, and then the next season of our life we're in Oak Cliff. And so for us, it was just moved around a lot. It's a lot of moving, a lot of nomadness.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think in the midst of all of that, it was always like something new happening, always something going on that constantly causes you to change and adapt to different situations. So you never got too comfortable. And I think I can say that like with happiness in my voice, she never got too
Yeah.
comfortable. And then also I can say it in like sadness in my voice, she never got too comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
From city to city, like it was just, an opportunity to meet new people, talk to a lot of people, and you got exposed to so much different styles of life, different styles of living. But you never got really comfortable.
Yeah.
And so those things just it mold you, you know what I mean? So they really put kind of sculpt you into a person that can abate and abide, but at the same time it's kind of hard to just sit and be in the moment, you know what I mean? And really soak in where you're at. And so those things I treasure, but it's hard for me to do
Yeah. Yeah.
because of that,
I
you know
think
what I mean? So
I think we both, as clearly as we keep talking about this, all of those, like you can always look at the same thing with different vantage points. Like, oh, moving around. Oh, new places. Oh, moving around. That kind of like, I'm not sure if I feel settled kind of thing. So
yeah.
not only do I get what you're saying, brother, I was right there with you. Right there. What was it like for you and Lakarin Mikala?
Oh man, what was it like? I think life was pretty good. I will say we grew up in DeSoto, so like we had a stationary place that we all grew up in, one house. Um, we were homeschooled, and there was 4 of us, like all in one roof. So my mom decided to homeschool us. We went to church a lot. I think we got really close when we were younger, just naturally, just because, there's a lot of kids in the house. And it was interesting in a lot of different ways, but I think it was good for the most
Why
part.
when you said that?
I
know,
tried to
like-
tell you dangerous. Yeah.
I'm
Now
like,
our house,
yeah.
yeah, our house was like mad loud. Like I was singing, Solomon and Malcolm, my younger brother, they were fighting or I don't know, putting underwear on their head or doing weird, weird things. And yeah, I'm gonna put you out because you're gonna put me out. So I'm gonna just start it off. Okay. So were y'all like loud or were you more like chill, like on your own? Like how were you guys personality wise?
I think everybody had their own different personality. We have a brother, and he is a brother, so he does brotherly things. So yes, he would come in. I remember distinctly he would come in my room just to annoy me, just to get my reaction. I'm just like, bro.
He's older?
He's younger.
He's younger. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think, Karen? I mean, I think we have 2 different perspectives on, how we grew up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's the same perspective. I think Mikala is just very reserved and polite and real, just reserved. She doesn't really want to give, which I'm not either. But it was there's 4 kids. We also had another sister as well, so there's 4 kids in the house, and then we have had our older sister as well. Just imagine with it's loud. Mikala sings, and everything she says is a song. My little brother is a little brother, and you got baby sister who is she is the house terrorist, but no one's gonna say it because she's the baby. So really, I mean, you could say it's little brother, but that's who he is. But it was really baby girl. She was
Sister.
she was running the house. But I mean, it was good. Like I said, it was a lot. There was 4 of us. We were homeschooled, so there was a lot of time where we were all kind of just together all the time. And all the time. Our dad did travel a lot. One point in time for work. There was time where he was out of state. We wouldn't see him for a while. So there's my mom as well, who's having to do a lot, whether it's with the kids or things outside of home. So for me, it's a little bit different because I'm older sister. So if parents aren't there, then I'm what is it, parent number 3 now? So, and even I guess since Solomon called me Mama Bear in the beginning, I guess it still kind of carries on in our grown up life too a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's just,
And
it
y'all
was
are both middle children, and me and Lakarin are the oldest,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're gonna have different perspective, but life is different per each kid. So
I love it.
So would you say, Lakarin, that Mikala is pretty similar personality wise to what she was when she's younger?
yeah, no, yes, and no. If you see Mikala, who she is, yeah, she's very I wouldn't say quiet. She's definitely she speaks and she says what she needs to say. However, she is the one to that's gonna paint that picture of, hey, we're gonna smooth it over. Things are fine, everything's fine. She's the person that you would put in front of the camera. Meanwhile, there's behind here. Like, so if you want the textbook answer, yes, go ahead. You're gonna get it from Mikala because it's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be straightforward, but it's gonna be sweet and positive.
Yeah.
If you want to real, but she's pretty much the same, just a little bit, a little older, kind of just a little more mellow, but she's still Mikala.
So in my counselor voice, Mikala, how do you feel about that?
Right. No, that feels pretty good to hear, I think. It feels pretty good. I mean, sometimes I don't know how I'm perceived as, from my sibling or from someone else. So it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
You're
she's the textbook one, like, especially if you're meeting us. Like, I'm really extremely close to my siblings. You've got that one that's, it's gonna kind of chill the situation. Meanwhile, you got the other one just waiting to listen.
Waiting to pop off.
And it's where we are.
Yeah.
Solomon, which one are you? Are you the
I don't know. I say I'm a mixture of both. I think I'm a mixture of both.
Okay.
I think growing up, I was a mixture of both. That's why I think growing up for me, I had no problem just saying and being however way I felt, whatever I felt in the moment. But my temperament was more so like I like peace.
Yeah.
Like, always like peace. I never just, if I was doing something, it was for a specific reason that would have brought me peace specifically, maybe not other people. And, if I saw Diamond sitting there quietly in a peaceful situation, and, I felt that that's just too peaceful beyond, what I've accepted for it to be.
Help, Lord, help.
I would interject my situation on her situation, and that would bring me peace. Because it's like, yeah, go. She's better. She's agitated, you know what I mean? I got control. We're good.
Classic brother right there.
You know what I mean?
Classic. I'm like, bro, I was not bothering you. I do not understand why you're in my vicinity. Like, why are you in my orbit? I do not understand. So I think that's probably why I tried to slightly get you back when I came to visit recently. I was like really trying to surprise Solomon, and it just didn't work. Like, you're a lot stronger now. So when I try to do certain things in my mind, I still win. In reality, I don't want to say what happened.
You know what's crazy? He talks often about how much, how strong you were growing up.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
So, and it's crazy because for me, when growing up, a lot of kids would say, bro, you hit like a girl. Because obviously I was so big when I was, a kid, so huge. But what's it called? They used to tell me all the time, like, bro, you hit like a girl, and I would think that was a compliment legitly, because the way my sister hit was ridiculous.
I was so gentle. What are you talking about? I was the most gentle.
No, there's a reason you're married to a Nigerian. 6 foot.
Yes, this is true. So how did you view your sibling when you were younger? So Lakarin, how did you view Mikala? So you kind of talked about different.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. She's like, I'm ready.
Because I was ready for that question. I think there was different things.
You got the hand.
It was fine. In the beginning, when I think I was like 3 when Mikala was born. So I barely remember at the time, it's like, oh, it's your little friend, your little doll. It's all perfect. She's, I mean, let's be honest, your siblings, whether you like them or not in the beginning, they are your first introduction of being your first little friends, your first little best friends, whatever they are, which was fine at first. Then she started having like opinions on like what we about to play. So, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Hold on. And then, then there was another one, and then there was another one. And it was, I don't even really know how to describe that. It's like I said, it's in different stages. She was fine. And then she's got a little older. Now she's got her opinions. They're kind of clashing with my opinions. And then we're teenagers at the same time. So it's really not working out. Now she's a problem for me. I like her, but I don't really like her because she's not like, when you have siblings, I think I've told you guys this before. They are kind of, in your mind, this is your world. And everyone around you is a side character. And so I need you need to play a good character. Like you are a good assistant, and I need you to play that. But now you're getting older. Now you have your own roles. And now I'm a side character in your story. And that's a little weird for me, especially being the oldest. When you came after me, you're supposed to be watching, do what I do. So I think we did clash a lot in a little bit, but at the same time, I could still see her. This is my older sister. I want to be able to do what she does, or I want to be able to kind of keep her happy. And I kind of played on that a little bit. Like, okay, well, that manipulative thing a little bit. But growing up, I think it was a little bit of a tug of war with her, because she is her own person. She's also a middle child, the second child, who doesn't think she's ever heard. So she's got that tug of war too. So it's kind of hard to say. Things were good, things weren't good with any sibling situation.
That's so funny, because it's crazy, because I actually remember moments where I'm like, this is my big sister, like, I love her so much. And then I also remember moments where I'm like, dang, am I getting on her nerves? Like, I feel like I'm like, she don't want me around. Like, why can't I hang out with you and your friends? Like, what's wrong? It's so
yeah. And it's weird being in that situation when you're the oldest, and so you're like, it's not you, but I want time away from you, right? So, and then now, but it was kind of a little bit easier for us because we've got another little sister. Now you're gonna have somebody else who's about to do the same thing to you. So now you get to see what I did, and so I'm hoping that works. Like Mikala, first going off to school, it was great. We came back, surprised her, all that. I go to her closet. Some of the stuff that I've been looking for is in there. Like my jacket. I still haven't seen that jean jacket, by the way. But so
I don't know what you're talking about.
And then now we have another little sister who is taking her shoes and breaking them. But we're not gonna.
She shook her head. She was like,
I feel like it's. I feel good about that though. Like
See, I don't have that experience because me and Solomon, we're 5 years apart, and then my younger brother 6 years apart, and so it's like I just didn't have that. So I was a little devastated. I was like, but I had the attention. I don't think I realized I was upset about it. I just knew that what I had was different, because that's when we moved to Atlanta, because you were born in Atlanta, and I remember being in the hospital. I'm so dramatic. I'm pretty sure I'm making up this memory, but I promise you, I functioned like it was real for a long time. I would sit. It was like a clouded camera with almost almost fading into a sepia type of filter, and then there's like this music, and it's like slow motion, and like all the families joyfully running towards the room because Solomon's born. And I'm just sitting there sadly with, I don't know, some crackers or something, just extra in my head, because I'm like, something's different, and it's taking away, it's really attention. But at the time, it was just like, oh, do y'all still love me? Do you still want me, kind of thing? And then, getting older, I was like, oh, okay, he's kind of cool and he's kind of energetic. Like, I didn't finish my sentence and he didn't said about 7. I don't know what just happened. But the sister dynamic, like shoes, clothes, like that type of space thing, that wasn't it. It was just more shift of like attention. And then, And then I feel like kind of the stuff you kind of said in the beginning, Solomon, like we were like, okay, we got to ride together. We got to figure out how to come together. I mean, we had our things. I was still territorial and don't touch my food and my room. I'm still like that with my food a little bit. But that's so interesting. You guys are helping me understand my girls, because I'm like, I don't understand what's happening here. Like, what do you mean that you want to be with just your friend? Like, you can still be with your friend in my head, because I just don't understand that sister dynamic. So it's interesting to hear you say that.
It's funny the way you described that whole situation with us, because I distinctively knew that I was a threat to you the moment out the womb, 100%, bro. I tell my daughter all the time, my sister is the best sister in the world, but in the beginning, she was a savage. She was a savage, bro. Oh my goodness.
I don't believe these things.
Oh yes, believe. It's just so funny, man, because a lot of times I just felt like I annoyed you. I felt like I was just like, every time I showed up, it was like, why are you here in existence? You know what I mean? But then if we're in public, it was like, it's like she was cool with me, and I was just like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And then I discovered that I can get reactions out of you if I just with you. Oh. And so I think now in hindsight, when I look at it, it was a way for me to get attention from you.
Yeah.
Because for me, I didn't have an older brother or anyone to like show me around. Like, and so for me, it's funny. I always refer to Donovan as my homosexual brother.
Oh my God. What is happening?
Because it's funny, but let me put it in context. Because my first punch came from my sister. The first time somebody told me I was dressing like trash came from my sister. The first person to help me dress was my sister. First person to help me learn how to talk to girls was my sister.
I don't think that was me. I probably was like, no, and oh no.
Of course. But at the same time, it was just filled with like a lot of my moments of like coming into the next stage of life. Like, you were there, you know what I mean? And either you were there instructing it, or you were there stopping it. One of the two, you know what I mean? But it was always like that setting there. So I think growing up during that time, like, you placed a lot of security in my heart. But I don't think until I was like around 12, 13, maybe. No, we go back even further than that. No, it was like 8 or 9. I remember, because we had that situation at the pool. And that guy was picking on you, man. And he threw me in the pool. I remember. And he thought I could swim, in the guy's defense. And my sister decked him, jumped in the pool, got me out. Oh my goodness. And then once she got me out, she placed me in a kiddie pool like a toddler. And don't you move. Don't go nowhere. Stay right here. So in that moment of me realizing that my sister was my older sister, I felt protected, loved, and emasculated all in the same breath. But I dared not get out that kiddie pool because she just decked a dude for me. So I was just like, all right, let me just stay in my lane.
Oh my God. It doesn't matter how many times you tell that story. Like, I'm not laughing on cue. It's still like, first of all, it still shocks me that that's your perspective of that moment. Because I remember the pool. I remember the boy, and then it goes black. Like, literally, the memory goes black. I mean, clearly,
if you saw your face, you would understand why it been black. It was just a pure instinct, rage, and like motherly. So, and the funny thing is, when you were doing it, I could see the annoyance and the care all in the same breath. Like, it was like, why I gotta say this fool? Get in the kiddie pool. Get in there.
Oh my God.
Okay, cool.
That's
a good time that I would have had.
Hats off to y'all, because I mean, I think so. Definitely, I know there were multiple times I was just like, Solomon, just why? Like, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, you're in my orbit. But I don't think I could really, like, you can't really understand, like, as a kid, how much you're forming, like you're building your own self, and what you were saying about like the side stories and then your own story. That's massive. I don't know about you and Lakarin, Mikala, but like Solomon and I would talk about like what we would be like when we would get older. That was something that was like a constant conversation for us. Did y'all ever do that? Like talk about what adult life would be like?
I don't remember doing that too much.
Yeah, I don't remember doing that. I think we were just focused on getting through today. Like,
no, for real though. No,
tomorrow,
really.
we good. We're gonna make it through tomorrow. We got this.
It was like a day by day situation.
Yeah,
things for us would change just in the moment. Like 1 minute, it's all shiny and rainbows. The next minute, just like, you know what? I just hope we have something to eat today.
And most of the time, it's Lakarin who got us on the food.
So maybe that was just me. I hope I can find something for us to eat because they was gonna eat regardless. So it looks like it was gonna be good.
That's so funny.
I mean, like you would think about, I want to be a teacher. We're gonna be this, but nothing like we actually had conversations on like this is what we're gonna do growing up.
Yeah.
And I think that's really
even having like a sibling relationship, like as close as we are, especially as our 4 siblings, as close as we are, was not something that's even, I would say, as normal that we have seen growing up. So this is something new and big for us anyway. So this is, like I said, taking it day by day, but this is something that we tried for. So, no, we didn't. We didn't. Yeah. We just live for today.
Yeah. Solomon, were you gonna say something or?
Yeah, no. So I was saying, I think it's a testament to like how the upbringings were different.
Yeah.
As for us, a lot of because we moved around, I feel like, and we're constantly on the move to the next thing. So we're always looking to the next thing. You know what I mean? Because I always tell Kayla like her from what she expressed to me, like her life was always very stable. So it was like you're here in this position. You know what I mean? So I thought it was kind of cool to see how like we were always like, bro. So what's it gonna be like when we get older?
Right.
Or what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was like the mentality that we had for us on a consistent basis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I found like that dynamic kind of cool, and how like different upbringings can create different mindsets and perspectives. Yeah. Like how you relate to I guess like just the future, even the future, or like wherever you're moving to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Daddy's such a dreamer. Like our dad's just such a dreamer. I don't know about you guys, but like it was always painting this abstract picture that you couldn't touch, but for some reason you just wanted to like go full stride after it, even if it made no sense. Like, I'm gonna find a way to live without gravity on Earth. Clean. Like it didn't matter what it was. Yeah. He's like, we about to just change all the laws. We're about to do it right now. And it like was like vibrant and brought hope, but it also, I think it's kind of like that, oh my gosh, kind of thing too, of just like, I don't know. So it is both sides of it. And I remember our conversations about growing up, they were so interesting because they weren't like, we didn't talk about always being together. It was like, Solomon's going to go do this. Malcolm's going to go do this. Diamond's going to go do this. And then we're going to do this randomly together. So we always talked about our lives like separate, but like we would just be cool. Of course they were, very, Solomon was on the moon by 19. Like it was just, that's so funny. I'm like reliving some of our conversations. I think at one point I told you guys I was gonna like, I don't know, conduct in an orchestra, something weird. I don't know, just something. And it's not like those things were outlandish. It's just things that I didn't have those examples in front of me, like right in front of me. But for some reason, I just thought that they were, no, this is what I'm going to do. And then Solomon, I'll find a way to find you. Back to that side story. Yeah. Centered
the main character situation.
Yeah.
That's good.
One, I want to hear embarrassing stories because why not? They're great. Best sibling story that you have with the sibling that's on this episode. Give me I want a good juicy one. I want this one to be the part where everyone's like, let me hear that one more time. Like, what happened? Ready and begin whenever you have it.
Yeah, I think it's a little weird.
Lakarin?
I have a little story with Mikala, but being that I'm not even sure, because I'm not even sure if we even mentioned or talked about us all knowing each other. Because I feel like my embarrassing story for Solomon, it's like that's me. It comes up for me. Okay, so yeah, setting up. Not sure if everybody knows, but we all kind of grew up together.
Homeschooled
together, basically. Been on Solomon since elementary school, junior high school, and I can attest to him being that little annoying piece, like just the fly that's just right here constantly all the time.
Yeah,
that just, and he means well. You would hope, right? But sometimes he just doesn't. Like he said, you having peace isn't peaceful for him. So he actually recently reminded me of it, because I don't remember doing this. Solomon can't tell me that I was a mean person at all. But I'm pretty sure it's something that he said. And I'm pretty sure it's something that he did. That caused me to apparently, in his mind, put my hands on him, which I think is total. Apparently he was in front of people and he couldn't breathe. I don't know if that's more so embarrassing for him or for me.
Flip a coin.
It's just
yes,
and it's weird even kind of sitting here in this, because it's like we were all friends growing up, but even now that it's been 10 years later, he is dating my sister. Like, that is so weird. It's still weird to me. Like, this is the guy to beat up.
It's funny to say that, because me and Kayla, we do that like randomly, like throughout like our little times together. We were like, bro, I married Mikala.
Yeah,
Then
crazy.
Kayla looks at me and goes, I married Solomon. And it was like, oh, let's study.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
It's the fact that you look like that too. It's like,
yeah, it's like
but yeah, that's kind of one of my at least first. So I don't know why that just came to my head. It was stuck there.
So just for clarity, so everyone knows. So this is the time that I was bugging you, and you swore that if I didn't leave you alone, you gonna deck me on my chest. This is the one you're talking about. Yes, yes,
that's probably that's it. That's
She's like, that's okay. This is on break.
That's about. But no, back to Mikala. I think it was one of those. She's growing up. She's learning how to do her hair, and I'm brushing it up in a ponytail. I'm just trying here. I'm trying. I'm like, Mikala, she's, back then when they straighten your hair, they put a lot of grease on it, and so your hair has like one smooth, straight texture. Okay, it's like it's stiff. And so she's got him like, let me help you brush your hair up. Let's get it up. I'm like, well, let me help you fluff your ponytail and give it a little bit of life. She's like, no, I want it straight back. I mean, just straight. The ponytail's this thick, first of all. It's about this round. And she just wants it straight back. Mikala, let's not, I don't think that's a good idea. But she's fussing with me. We go out in public. She's kind of all nervous now because people are giving her weird looks. And I'm like, well, what can I tell you? You don't want to listen to me. And she was really in that moment, especially with being out with other people. You could tell she was kind of having that little insecure moment a little bit. It's like I felt bad a little bit, but at the same time, like, you just went off on me and I tried to help you. So whatever comes from this is gonna come from this. Let's just
oh my God.
And it's just weird to try to even describe it. Just that her little ponytail. It was a struggle. It was about.
It's okay, Mikala. You went for it, girl.
Little ponytails matter.
Yes, they do.
Alfalfa. Let's get it.
Basically, no, for real. That's no, for real.
Oh my gosh.
It was.
Oh
yeah.
Mikala, I want to hear yours. Give me one. A good one.
It's hard to kind of think
one
back. It's hard to think back. The only thing that comes to mind is like, I don't know if we went out in public, but I remember like when you're first learning how to like do your hair, you're like really getting good at it and exploring like tracks. And we went to the beauty supply store, man. We bought them synthetic tracks.
Wait, she's going.
She disappeared.
She disappeared. Oh my God.
Them synthetic tracks, bro. You tried to flat iron it and it burned.
Oh,
It was like, well, that didn't work out.
My hair. And I was in this
Yes. Yes, that
But
time.
it was because it was perm, like the top part, it was together. The back was still. It just wasn't right.
It was trial and error. Okay.
It was. Or this time Mikala shaved her eyebrows.
Oh my God.
Did I do that? My eyebrows?
It was actually no. It's the time you went and got a wax. It was really Marnisha's fault. That's our older sister. She talked us into getting them eyebrows. Mikala used to have these big, really bushy eyebrows, and we went to go get them waxed, right? And Mikala came back like, I don't know, is that like the 90s where it looks
that
like
was the
it was so
that was
bad.
the trend.
It was
Oh my gosh.
it was so bad because you can notice the difference, but my dad laughed so hard when he saw it wasn't even like no kind of encouraging. He just went into straight laugh. I'm talking about he's
not okay.
Floor. It was, and she had to wear it like that because what are you gonna do?
I tried to wear a hat for the longest to hide it from mom, but that lasted like 2 seconds, bro.
Oh my gosh, man! The hair and the beauty stuff, those can go on and on and on. Solomon, if you say one, I promise you, I will come through with this camera.
This is the time.
The funny part is for me now, in my age, especially now when I go look, I don't remember a lot of embarrassing moments. I remember a lot of violence. I remember a lot of just like funny situations, but I don't remember anything that was embarrassing. And I think it's funny because for me, especially like looking like how I viewed you, especially being like six or so years apart, a lot of times I felt like you had things together.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I messed with you, that was my way of like breaking that cycle if I could.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I would see, and it's crazy going kind of shifting the energy a little bit. It's kind of crazy because growing up for you, you were a singer. A lot of people knew you. And even, a lot of prominent people knew you too as well. And so like growing up in church, everyone was like, no, Diamond's this, and Diamond sings well, and Diamond does this, Diamond did that. So low key, that in my mind, I would get frustrated because I felt like you were so perfect, which made me feel like I could never live up to anything. You know what I mean? So therefore, it gave a sense of relief because I don't have to do nothing. She got it. And then also it gave me a sense of like, I'm not important. You know what I mean? So like whatever I do, it doesn't matter. It holds no weight. You know what I mean? So then as I grew up, like, especially when you went off to college, bro, it was such an emptiness like inside of me because I was like, now what? You know what I mean? Now what? Diamond's gone. The star child has left the nest. And what do I have to offer to be the next thing that people, communicate or talk about? I don't do none of that. My grades suck. I don't really, you know what I mean? Like, say in my mind, this is how I was thinking at that age. You know what I mean? So it really, I think it created a perfect atmosphere for me to discover me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to really dive into me and say, bro, you are someone. You are worthy of things, you know what I mean? And you can accomplish things if you put your mind to it. And then obviously, just because then by that time it was like, the I'm the man of the house starts to kick in. I'm having to do a lot more, you know what I mean? And be a lot more responsible. So then at that moment, I think a lot of I guess it's the grown man tactics started to really kick in on a lot of levels. Yeah. So for me, like embarrassing stories really didn't come into play. I think more so I just remember situations of us being in of where I think I did more of the agitating and I just was the recipient of whatever, you saw fit for that moment.
Solomon.
It got deep really fast.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Real fast. Like what?
It is crazy to hear you like just over the past few years, just us talking about what you just shared. Like that's heavy. It's not light. And some of it is like stuff I was like, oh, I wonder if people do, think that, first of all, of me. And then like, do they think that of you? That meaning everything that you shared. And then of course, any type of script that we have playing in our heads and our minds. And I can be to a fault. And then also I think it can be a strength where if I decide it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. Like it does not exist for me. Or if I decide it's my focus, I can dial in. But when I'm conflicted, and it's very, very, very apparent. But I feel like growing up, I was super polarized. It was like, or like just there was very little medium, and that came out in everything. And so I think it just took some years to start to see you in a way that you wanted to be seen. Like I would hear who you were, I would see who you were, but I kind of didn't know how to interact because I too didn't know for myself, like, who am I? Is it just these things? Is it this desire? Is it this reaction? Is it this lack? Is it this accomplishment? Like making a definition, going back to constant conversation that we have on Between the Moment about identity. Like I am daughter. That's my core identity, daughter that belongs to the Lord. And then from there, everything else comes. I mean, I was a kid. I didn't know how to operate that way, so it's always humbling. Like, we've had these conversations just on our own and gone even deeper into other stuff, like about just growing and digging into those things. Because when I went to college, I felt the emptiness too. I don't know if you remember when I got my apartment, especially right before I got married, I came and got y'all and I was like, come spend the weekend. Or when I brought you guys to the Valentine's dance and I was like, hey, here's all
I ain't gonna lie, I was telling all my friends, I say, bro, I was dancing college girls, bro. Like, it was a pity dance, but I was out here like saying, fam, while y'all out here thinking y'all got it going on, I do. So like, no junior high, not for me. No high school, not for me. Only college girls in this facility.
Oh my God. And all my friends, they loved you guys, you and Malcolm. They just loved you guys. And they were just like, sure, we'll dance. And they knew they weren't playing. They knew. And definitely did that. I think one of my favorite is actually an embarrassing story about me. You won in this story. I started thinking I was going to win. This was when we were in Lancaster. I don't know what we were doing. We were outside of some building, and this is when we had the Suburban. And I was just messing with you. It was my decision for that day. I was just going to bother you. I was just picking at you. This is when your muscles started to come in. You were starting to play ball. You were a little bit older. This is right before I went to school, right before I graduated. And I just remember picking at you. And I just, kept doing it. Solomon, I don't know what happened. I just remember being lifted up in the air. You spun me around. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do remember this.
Oh my God. You spun me around. You opened the Suburban. You put me in the car and closed the door. Then you bucked at the door and then walked off. I was crazy. I think I sat in the car for like 10 minutes. I was like, I'm good.
It's crazy because in that moment when I walked away, in my mind, I was thinking, she about to get out this car. So like me walking away and bucking away, like I was trying to walk away fast before you got to me. So that's the funniest thing about that story for me. Because in my mind, I was annoyed. So I was like, ah! And then when I closed the door, I was like, walk away.
Yeah. In my head, I was like, he can. It just kind of like slowly went into, all right, like this is a new space. That pool moment for you. That Suburban moment was a moment for me where I was like, yo, like my brother, like, okay, like, all right, there it is. So that was probably one of my favorite moments. I got egg on my face, but I understood. And then by the time, my husband came around and was trying to be, hey, I want to date you. Solomon's like, hi, how you doing?
You gotta drop it real quick. So they get to mess with your sister. I didn't care what it was. But yeah, man, I think the dynamic between like brothers and sisters when it comes to the development stages, like as you turn into like learning who you are, but then also watching your siblings turn into who they are and then learning how to relate to one another. Like that dynamic, I feel like is such a I think it's one of God's great mysteries. You know what I mean? Because you get to discover pieces of you through discovering pieces of your sibling. You know what I mean? And then you learn how to like deal with people around you and like how they turn and how they operate. Because I feel like people that have siblings or have like a lot of siblings, they just are a little bit more well adjusted as far as like socializing and like dealing with difficult people with difficult situations, because you get to see like a lot of that firsthand consistently in your face all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's funny because like I was sitting here just thinking about like my feelings and how I felt when you left, and we were talking a little bit about that and how like my heart felt empty, and it was like there was hard jealousy, but then there was hard like longing and like love for you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, bro, what a weird dynamic to feel
Right.
like with
Yeah.
someone that is so close to you is like, bro, I'm envious of you. I'm frustrated and angry at the fact that you take something that I believe belongs to me. But then in the same breath, you're like, bro, I give my all for you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want to be close to you, and I want to grow with you and support you and root for you all in the same breath. I think that's why it gets so so touchy when people feel like they can talk about your sibling like you know them. And it's like, no, bro, you you know nothing, Jon Snow, I promise. You know
Yeah.
nothing. You know what I mean? So I think that dynamic is something that is to be treasured, but also to take stock in on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
need to ask yourself, hey, am I really looking at my siblings in the way and in the light that they're desiring one to be looked at, but then also, am I looking at them in the way that they are now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
now, even this year, I've connected a lot more with you than I have over the couple of years. And like I'm learning, you a grown woman. You know what I mean? You are a completely
Likewise. Yeah.
grown woman with that is married, you know, have 3 children. I mean, your mommy voice comes out and it's like, bro, I remember when we fighting over boxes of cereal. Now,
World.
I'm sitting and looking at your my nieces and my nephews fighting over boxes of cereal, and you looking at them. Is that really how we're gonna do this? Are
Yeah.
we going to, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like,
What's happening?
bro,
Yeah.
you after the Frosty Flake too, just like that. Like now we're responsible.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say the same for you. Like watching you just being in your house and seeing the teamwork just between you and Mikala, and also just how you already are setting a standard for your daughter and for your sons. I'm like, wow, like this is my little brother who I would used to pinch and run around and run over, like, but no, like he's been a grown man, but this stage of life, all the more there's so much more that he's, digging into. So I definitely, it's humbling. And as you were talking, I'm like, yo, like God didn't, like God was so purposeful in his design and the things that we need. I know you kind of talked about people that don't have siblings, but there's still this draw in humanity for community, and it's whether it's we really love knitting or underwater basket weaving or whatever the heck it is, there's something that we want to come around for connection, for working these things out. Like the fruit of the spirit don't work by yourself. Like you can't show love just only to yourself. You have to work it out, because love is patient, love is kind. You need somebody to get on your nerves so you can choose patience. Like it has to be that way, and that is like God's ultimate design in how he's made the institution of family, and that spreads out to the church. Like it's not a metaphor, it's not a simile, it is literally that thing. And we have that pull, and siblings, like, and marriage, the same thing. It's just really committed community with sex. It's like, yo, I think you hot. And the same things that I have to apply with my brother and sister, as far as like trust, knowing who you are, communication, that's all of it. It's just relationships all the way around. I tell my girls all the time, I was like, if you can be roommates with this girl who is your sister, my daughter, then you'll be fine. Like on Earth, in all the planets and continents, like of the Earth, or the continents of the Earth, you will be fine if you're able to walk through your issues and your concerns with this other person. So as you were talking, I was like, yo, like the training ground, and you can't control everything that your family went through. You know, like our story's like wild, and I know you guys have kind of shared, like, it's just stuff that's like, I had nothing to do with that. I didn't ask for this to happen, or mom and dad to make these choices or not make these choices, or this thing to happen around us. Like our kids, all of our kids have a pandemic in their story. What the heck? Like we didn't choose that, and we still have to choose who we're gonna be. And it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
They take such a risk because they're your first ride or dies. They're the ones that like, bro, I went through that with you. I saw that with you. You know what I mean? I instigated that with you.
Yeah.
So like that's man, 100% agree.
This last year, I've seen quite a few people reconcile with their siblings for the very first time after a really long time. And that's been a pretty powerful thing to see, because some of it, reconciliation doesn't mean now we're besties and, you know, we sing kumbaya. Reconciliation is saying, well, no, we've come into a place that this is where we can continue the journey of healing, because relationships aren't status quo. It is very much like we're on this trajectory, like we are continuing in this direction. And watching the different versions of that. Some people are like, hey, I haven't talked to you in 20 years, but now we have a phone call. That's reconciliation, and it's heading in a direction. That may be the only phone call for the next X amount of time, but it's you know, another direction. So just as we're kind of winding down, and Solomon, you've shared quite a bit. I feel like we all have, just in different gems, and how we can really be grateful for the different relationships that we have. Siblings, of course, National Siblings Day, woo woo. But just relationships in general. I would love to just hear some things that you would love to say to yourself in the past, and even some things that you love to say to yourself in the future. So here's a specific question, just to make it a little bit cleaner. What myth did you believe, either about your sibling or about relationship with your sibling, that you no longer believe now? Like, what myth did you believe that you no longer believe in?
I think the thing that comes to mind for me when I was younger, I remember thinking like, oh, I mean, I didn't really dream like so much in the future, but I remember like saying, oh, you know, as we grow up, we're gonna have this perfect relationship, and we're gonna be wonderful and great. And you know, that has truth to it. But there's also, now I'm like, you know, we don't always agree on everything. You know, we're people with individual like opinions and lives and things like that. And I have so much love for my siblings. Like I just love them so much. But we do have differences. And I think like I'm realizing that too, that's okay. That's, you know, relationships. We're gonna have differences as a couple, you know. So but I remember thinking that I was like, you know, we're gonna be, you know, this, I don't know, perfect like siblings growing like just in our adulthood, but that's not, you know, reality all the time. So that's one thing that I think I'm learning every day, and I'm choosing to embrace it as well. And to know that it's okay, you know, because there's no love lost, you know, like we love each other, and I appreciate the memories that we've had growing up, and I like look forward to all the beautiful times that we have that we've spent together, and the things that, you know, are to come. So
that almost sounded like a farewell. Like, well, the end. Like, just,
it's not a farewell. Maybe I think it's maybe a farewell to my thought process of that.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, it's kind of even feeding off of that. thinking about, things are going to be perfect. But growing up, being an adult, you actually have to work and want those relationships, because you hear those families, well, it's family, you just deal with it. No. In certain things, if you do have those issues, especially if you desire to have a relationship with your sibling, it's best to, you both need to be willing to work for it. Be willing to talk out those issues that you are having with said person. And that's been a big thing that I've always wanted. I want all of my siblings to be able to get along, let's have this great relationship, because at the end of the day, I think one of y'all mentioned it earlier, that's the first person that's the first person you've been with from the beginning, and more than likely to the end. One day your parents are gonna they're gonna be off and gone, but those experiences that you share are usually with those siblings. They share your memories, they're a part of your, hoping that they're a part of your future. So just remembering that those relationships are important, just as important as a marriage, your children, keeping your siblings in mind too, even if it's something as small as a simple phone call, or what you did talk, you didn't like the way that they were talking to you, just keeping them, in your mind, and just trying to think of the right thing to say. Just, remember that they are important as well to you, especially if you desire those relationships. So
that's good. That's really good.
Solomon, you dropped like 20 gems. You got 20 more. Like you
right.
Kinds of goodness this whole time.
I don't know. Let's. I think if I was to go back and tell myself anything, I think I would tell myself, "Hey, bro, you gonna marry Mikala?" So number one. Number two, don't mess with Lakarin. The day that she decked you in your chest. So anyway, but no, in all seriousness, in relation to our siblings, I think I would encourage myself to see the struggles of my siblings more. I think growing up, I didn't really understand what it looked like to be the oldest daughter. For me, I thought you were perfect, and like everything was good for you, and everything was dope for you, and everyone loved you. But with that, bro, that came pressure, you know what I mean? And that came expectation, you know what I mean? And now seeing you as a mother, seeing your daughter with like different traits of you, seeing both your daughters with different pieces of you, and how they relate to certain things and how they communicate certain things. And it's like, man, like my sister went through so much, even things that I didn't see behind closed doors, you know what I mean, that you had to navigate through, that merited respect, you know what I mean? And just care, you know what I'm saying, as a sibling. There's a lot of times where you just took heat from us, you know what I'm saying, that we were supposed to get the heat for, that you didn't. And I felt that. I felt it the moment you left. I think it's why I said I felt empty. I felt lost. Like I felt your covering leave. And I think you don't really realize how much your sisters and your brothers have you until it was like there's that shift, that dynamic, you know what I mean? And so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, because I have twin boys now, and I see how Leon and Zion are like that. Like they're neck and neck, but the moment they're like separated and not with each other for a long period of time, it has to set in. But when it does, it was so crazy. I remember we did that. I took Leon had to go to the doctor because he wasn't feeling good. And Zion was in the bed, and I put him to bed, but Leon wasn't with him. And he pointed at Leon's crib, like pointed at it right when we were going to bed. And he was like, bye, bye, bye. And he's just pointing, like, and it's like in my heart, I was like, oh, dang, like that hits, like, like, oh, and so, but I had to, pat him and tell him to go down to sleep, but he's sitting there like laying down, bye. But that, like, even at that age, man, like that, there's an attachment, bro. There's a soul attachment there that I think that it needs to be cherished and it needs to be merited. So I think to see and to develop that respect as early as possible, and then carry that into the older stages of being like, man, I need to see them for who they are now and what they've been through, see them for who they are. If they are that sibling that, and I'm seeing them being responsible, and it may not be the way I think they should do it, but they're doing it. You know what I mean? They're living it. They're going through it. You know what I mean? Let me give them a respect of that person, of who they are now. You know what I mean? And that could be testament to a not so great relationship with your siblings, or with a great relationship with your siblings. You know what I mean? And in every light, I think just seeing that and giving that fresh perspective on a consistent basis, is something that each sibling deserves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
really good.
Really good. I know in our family, like especially on my mom's side, watch like the siblings, they rode. Like they rode, bro. I'm like, yo, y'all present at everything. It don't matter if it's a funeral, a birth, the gas station, like it did not matter. They just rode out and had real moments. And that's such a beautiful picture. And I think now, as we're heading into, like, we're mid-30s heading into 40s, like their time is, I know, right? Seriously, Kevin Hart. But as you head into their last, or their leaving stage of life, it's like, man, like you really have to go back and say, all right, do I love you for where you are and where you're not? And yeah, it's a whole thing. So for those that are tuning into the episode, this is our mindful momentum section, and it is a challenge for you to pause and then move. And so I really want to say this: if you're just looking at this episode, listening on a streaming platform, and you know that you need to call your brother or your sister, please take this as the nudge to do so. I don't want to manipulate and say, time and all of that. I have very dear friends, even in my own household, where siblings were suddenly gone the next day. So that's not to manipulate as much as to say, like, there is so much time that can be invested in seeing this beautiful relationship just grow into whatever it is, and to be authentically what it is. Like, like we've all said, like, fairies and roses is not the goal, but there's just such a gift in first God's design in making siblings, and in his Jesus whole family, and then of course in our individual families. Like, what a great idea to really see what love is. Like, who ideates that except God? Like, who does that? So take this. If that's you, go ahead and make that phone call. If you have a fantastic relationship, go ahead and make that phone call. If you are an only child and you know that there's someone in your life that you need to have a conversation with, lean into this moment and really pause, ponder. If you need to, do a little temper tantrum, do that too. And decide to move forward with a lot of hope for the future and milking those relationships. So, yeah. I hope you have enjoyed this time. If you don't already know, Mikala has been on the podcast before. She definitely shared so many great things on what it means to invest in yourself. So please check out her personal page and what her business does with Aeire Studio, as well as the Waxing Table, Waxing Esthetician on IG. All of her information is down in the show notes. So just shower her. She's amazing. Yes, she is my sister, but I'm telling you, she is amazing. That is true. So please check out all of her things. And if you want to know more about these other siblings on this episode's life, please also check them out. You'll see their information in the show notes. So thank y'all for cutting up and sharing all the gems. All right. Keep looking for hope between all of life's moments. Bye, y'all.